Well, we had a stormy and rainy week in Georgia. Hi, I'm Mel. I'm an artist and sometimes a builder. Right now we are currently building our library. First task of this week, finish all the bookshelves in the plywood bases. I decided to prep before hanging them, and they weren't quite the same as the first floating shelf, and we had to take the shelves off. Yay! Here's Zach helping me put up these floating shelf frames, and this wall is one of the walls that is extra unlevel. Our goal here is to make sure that the bottoms line up and that that very top shelf lines up with the previous one. Sometimes I say we did this. Sometimes it's just me in here doing it, but I process things out loud a lot. I would not be able to get this done without talking with my fiance Zach and talking with my best friend Taylor, making decisions on the fly and like making sure it's being done right and well, and pivoting where we need to pivot. When I say we, it might be only me that you see, but that's what I mean. So thank you to both of them. I'm the type of person that if I can do something not on the ladder, I'll do that. So here's me frustratingly putting these shelves back up. I was able to use these spacers. I cut them to the negative space between the shelves. And the bottom one is 12 3/4 and the top shelf is 12 inches. Had to do that because of the shelves above the window needed to be slightly less in order to accommodate for a trim. And sometimes those spacers didn't work. And so a speed square and a clamp worked just fine. Just make sure the speed square doesn't move. More pocket holes. I love this new Kreg jig I bought. I had an old one for a long time. This is the best. Then I just started cranking out shelves, and it was really satisfying and easy. Sometimes you just gotta go slow, making sure that those faces line up. Making my final riser for our little skinny shelf that kind of caps off the whole thing. She's small, but she is mighty. I secured this one to the floor because I wanted to make sure that that vertical upright was level to the floating bookshelves. So I kind of needed a guide. All right, we're moving on to the frame of the daybed. And it's 108 inches long and then 38 inches wide. And we're back to the saga of all the electrical outlets are in my way. We're not gonna end up using this plug, so don't come after me about it being unsafe underneath the daybed. It's just gonna be down there, no extension cords, no nothing. It will be completely fine. The daybed is 16 inches tall, mostly because we bought mattresses to go on top that are 8 inches tall, because we want the ultimate cozy spot. So I didn't want it to feel too tall. All right, I'm just marking where my spines will go. Our mattresses came in and I really wanted to cut all the slats and finish the daybed and put some mattresses on it and see how it looked. But then I realized I still need to get a ladder up above the floating shelves for filling holes, and I couldn't do that because then a ladder wouldn't fit, and I got a little sad about it. Onwards to trim! This is where things get just so buttoned up and satisfying. This is a 1x8 that the crown molding will sit on. So we have some space for lights and different things. I use these little spacers as an extra hand. This one was not really in the right spot, so helpful to get her up, but not exactly where I needed her. Here I'm capping off the bottom of the floating shelves because the 1x2 will sit on the face, and I didn't want there to have to be a 3/4 inch gap where it was just kind of hanging over. So plywood to fill, and then also to hide all of those pocket holes so we don't have to fill them. Also, don't forget to dry fit some materials. Check your work. We debated on putting cabinets over here on this little bookshelf or keeping a long space open in the middle to hang blankets, and I didn't finish it because I just kind of wanted to feel it out. Just decided that finishing it off like the rest of it will just make the most sense. Introducing one cabinet element felt odd. Sometimes you gotta pause on a project to sleep on it or marinate a little bit. I left it for last, so before I start any other trim, I needed to finish this. Also, the shelves are like 10.5 inches wide, and my normal drill would not fit. So I do not recommend using an impact driver, but sometimes you have to. Prepping for trim pieces, I measured my verticals, and then once I cut them, I put them back up on the piece and just marked each top line of where the trim should start. Draw an arrow up to make sure I knew both pieces were aimed up and I'm aligning to the correct shelf. I put one pocket hole on each end of the shelf horizontal pieces. This Kreg jig's my best friend. It was helpful to not cut the horizontals exactly like the shelves, so they're slightly inset on a varying degree of a 1/16 or an 1/8. You're working from the back, so the front of the trim pieces are facing the ground. You have to make sure you're kind of working in reverse. On my left is the right vertical, and on my right is the left vertical. Pocket holes can be a little tricky. I like to place my board about a 1/16 of an inch up because the pocket hole's going at an angle and it likes to suck down. Take your time, you'll figure out your system. Okay, in all truthfulness, I did have some little discrepancies of some of my plywood shelves being a little long or short. I would just make sure before I cut all of my horizontal pieces to check the shelves from top to bottom, and then I would number them. For 1 would be 32 and a 1/16. 4 would be 32 minus a 1/16. For over the window, I went left bookshelf, right bookshelf, and then I did the middle, mostly because then I knew where to go from there. Okay, I said I was gonna talk about the plywood base before I do trim. And I got a little too excited and started doing trim. So maybe it's best to see like where the trim is and then what the plywood looks like. I'm about halfway done with the trim, so we can kind of still have those examples. So the top got capped with a 1x8, and then these double faces will get capped with a 1x2, and then that corner will be two 1x2s kind of stacked, and then kind of like this, but I'll add like a corner trim piece there just to make it look all nice and flush. But you can kind of see that like the doubled up gets a full thickness of the 1x2, and then all the shelves get like a 3/4 inch kind of lip, just because you can't double up every shelf. That would be insane. So then the top just dies into the 1x8, and then it comes down into the bases. And so the bases are actually 12 3/4. So it just helps the end cap be nice and flush. And then the baseboards will go on top here with a little bead and have like 1/8 of an inch to rest, so the caulk has a place to be. But that kind of explains it. If we come over here, you can kind of see the 3/4 inch recess, and then this will get recessed, and then this will have trim on its face, and then the baseboard to kind of finish it off. Just things that you have to really look into before you start, so that way everything kind of finishes properly. And obviously there's ways of trim fixing mistakes. A lot of the times a nice trim detail is something that just hides mistakes and unleveled things, like the floor and the wall aren't level, and so this needs to have a corner trim piece. And that's okay. That's life. I built these bookshelves with the walls on the back. If they would have been bookshelves with a backer on them, I could have just leveled them completely and not had to worry about the level of the walls, which might have been easier, but that's okay. If you look down the line of this daybed cap, there's just a lovely gap of the wall where it touches some places and doesn't touch other places. That's kind of what I'm talking about when I say that the walls aren't completely level, and they've been repaired and patched and different things. So that's just living with an old house mostly. So I'm gonna have to figure out another corner piece. I just need to find a good corner piece trim that can just tie everything together and hide those imperfections. I'm gonna continue to do some trim work. It's coming together really nicely. Thank you for coming along on this journey. If you could do me a favor by subscribing and liking and commenting on my videos, that would be amazing. I hope that I can share my trials and tribulations along the way, and you either learn something or you just like watching people build stuff on the internet, which I get. I do that. It's not perfect. It's full of learns and mistakes, but that's part of the journey. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I don't want to do an intro. Can I just skip it?